There's a number hiding on every zero-turn mower that decides everything, and almost no dealer will say it out loud. Not the deck size, not the horsepower, not the name painted on the side. It's the one spec that determines whether you're buying a machine that dies at 600 hours or one that's still cutting at 5,000. And here's the part that breaks people's brains. Once you understand that number, you learn something backwards. A $14,000 mower is often cheaper than a $4,000 one. I'll prove that with simple math before we're done. So forget the marketing. Today we do this the way the pros actually do it. The 3 tiers every zero-turn falls into. The 3 specs that separate a real commercial machine from a dressed-up homeowner one. The machines crews put on their trailers, and the ones they won't let near a paying job. By the end, you'll know exactly which side of this line you're on. Before brands, you need the 3 specs that actually decide this. Get them right, and the price tag finally makes sense. First, the big one. The transaxle, the hydrostatic drive that turns the wheels. Hydro Gear is the biggest supplier in the business, and they quietly ladder their products in a way most buyers never see. Residential machines run units like the EZT or the ZT2800. Sealed, barely serviceable, built for light duty. Figure 500 to 1,000 hours before that transmission costs more to fix than the mower is worth. Commercial machines run the ZT3400, the ZT5400, or fully separate pump and motor systems with Parker wheel motors. Those are rebuildable, 3, 4, 5,000 hours with regular fluid changes. Same brand on the sticker, completely different machine underneath. Second, the deck steel. Residential decks are 10 to 12 gauge stamped. Commercial decks are 7 gauge, fabricated and welded with a reinforced leading edge. And remember, with steel, the smaller number is the thicker metal. 7 gauge runs about 1/3 thicker than 10. Clip a buried rock with a thin stamped deck and you'll own that dent forever. The fabricated stuff shrugs it off. Third, the engine. Homeowner engines, Kawasaki FR, Kohler 7000, Briggs Intech, are good for roughly 500 to 1,200 hours. Commercial engines, Kawasaki FX, Kohler Command Pro EFI, Vanguard Big Block EFI, run 1,500 to 3,500 before you're even thinking rebuild. Transaxle, deck, engine. That's the decoder. Now, what the pros actually buy with it. When you mow for a living, the machine isn't a purchase, it's an employee. It has to show up every morning. So pros don't buy on color, they buy based on what survives. And the same names keep climbing onto the trailers. Start with the legendary Scag Turf Tiger 2, fabricated deep in Mayville, Wisconsin by a massive, century-old heavy industrial steel house. This machine is widely considered the absolute tank of the entire professional landscape industry. And here is the exact mechanical reason why career cutters will gladly spend top dollar to put it on their trailers. Instead of relying on one single incredibly long rubber drive belt running all the way from the back engine to the front cutting deck, which remains the #1 most common catastrophic failure point on 99% of consumer zero turns, Scag completely deleted that vulnerability. They run a solid, heavy-duty, automotive-grade steel drive shaft straight out of the engine's main clutch output, under the frame, and directly into an industrial iron gearbox sitting right on top of the deck structure. Now, to keep it completely honest with you on this channel, this does not mean the machine has absolutely zero rubber components under the hood. There is still a very short, highly reinforced, self-adjusting Kevlar-corded belt tucked inside the deck casing that connects the gearbox pulley to spin the individual blades. So it is not pure magic, but Scag successfully eliminated the exact high-stress, high-vibration primary belt that actually stretches, slips, and snaps on every other machine in the middle of a busy workday. The entire rest of this powertrain is pure commercial overkill. that no residential platform can even dream of matching. You are looking at a dual hydraulic setup running massive 16cc hydro gear pumps paired with heavy-duty Parker wheel motors and a dedicated auxiliary oil cooler to keep the system from ever boiling over in the midsummer heat. Up top, you get your pick of true commercial-grade power plants from Vanguard, Kohler, or Kawasaki, built with heavy filtration setups designed to inhale dirt all day without choking the cylinders. And down at the ground level, their Velocity Plus cutting deck isn't just a basic sheet of metal. It is a monstrous tri-plate configuration that fuses 3 separate layers of heavy-gauge steel into a cutting platform that is nearly a half-inch thick of solid, unyielding iron. Professional crews routinely post these exact Turf Tigers running way past 2,500 or even 4,000 continuous hours on the meter, while still throwing out perfectly clean, razor-sharp packages. While a shiny, dressed-up residential mower at that exact age is already completely worn down to worthless structural scrap, a multi-year-old Turf Tiger is still out in the field generating daily income for its owner, serving as the ultimate proof of why real-world pros buy for raw metal survival rather than a cheap store discount. Then there is the legendary Toro Z-Master series, backed by a manufacturer that has been engineering specifically for industrial turf equipment since 1914. That century of deep operational experience, knowing exactly where metal fatigue and brakes show up, directly in their heavy-duty Turbo Force cutting deck. This isn't the thin, stamped sheet metal you find sitting on a big box store floor. The commercial Z-Master 4000 and 6000 HDX platforms utilize fully fabricated 7-gauge high-strength steel. When you look straight at the engineering physics, this setup is over 30% thicker and holds a drastically higher yield strength than the ordinary 10-gauge steel found on lighter residential decks, creating an unyielding cutting shell that is a massive 75% stronger overall. Brutal tree root strikes, hidden iron surveyor pins, and heavy landscape boulders that would permanently warp or buckle a thin consumer deck will literally just bounce off this frame without throwing your cutting plane out of true alignment. To completely protect the front leading edge from high-speed collisions, Toro wraps the entire nose in a massive, heavy-duty bullnose steel bumper that acts as an industrial shield. Contrast that with the fragile plastic trim and weak brackets found on residential units, which pros wouldn't dream of touching because they fracture the first time you close in on a concrete retaining wall. Up top, these elite commercial units are powered by massive, high-torque electronic fuel-injected engines paired with Toro's proprietary Horizon 360 intelligent software, which actively monitors engine RPM and system loads to prevent belt slippage and optimize fuel economy across a brutal 10-hour shift. They even completely re-engineered the operator platform with their isolated MyRide suspension system, mounting the entire seat package on adjustable coil-over shocks, so the violent vibrations of rough commercial fields are absorbed by the hardware rather than traveling up your spine and rattling the internal electrical harnesses to death. This structural immortality is exactly why these specific red machines consistently win massive municipal government and strict HOA fleet contracts. They are engineered to survive years of non-stop, multi-crew torture. Toro backs that up with one of the most aggressive, confidence-heavy commercial warranties in the outdoor power business. 5 years or up to 2,000 hours of coverage, featuring absolutely 0-hour limitations for the first 2 years of operation. It is the ultimate testament to a machine built to handle raw field abuse every single day, while the cheaper, residential lookalikes are safely left behind. Then comes Ferris. Most mower manufacturers spend millions trying to build tougher machines. Ferris asked a different question. What if the real problem was not strength at all? What if it was the punishment the machine absorbs every time it hits the ground? On a normal, standard zero-turn, every violent tree root strike, deep pothole, and uneven rut slams a massive kinetic shockwave straight up through the wheels and directly into the main chassis frame, the welds, and the engine mounting bolts. Multiply that exact mechanical torture by hundreds of thousands of hits across a single cutting season, and a rigid residential machine will literally, quietly, beat its own internal components apart, leading to hairline frame cracks, loose wiring harnesses, and leaking hydraulic seals that pros simply wouldn't touch. Ferris completely erases this destructive vibration cycle by engineering their flagship ISX series with a legitimate, automotive-grade, independent double wishbone suspension system placed under the entire chassis. This advanced coilover shock setup completely absorbs and dissipates the brutal physical impact at the wheel level before that destructive energy can ever reach the main frame structure. That means you experience drastically fewer cracked structural welds, zero loose body fasteners, and a massively extended operational lifespan for every single mechanical and electrical component bolted to the machine. It is a massive, real-world durability edge when tearing across rough commercial ground at high operational speeds. To back up that bulletproof ride, Ferris packs these units with heavy-duty dual hydro gear ZT5400 integrated transaxles, which feature massive internal gears and completely serviceable oil systems, paired with elite commercial power plants like the Vanguard Big Block EFI or high-capacity Kawasaki FX series. They even surround the bottom with their heavy-duty fabricated ICD cutting deck structure to ensure maximum vacuum and impact resistance. Ferris is so completely confident in this mechanical blueprint that they back the entire industrial suspension setup with a massive 5-year unlimited hour commercial warranty. It is the ultimate example of an outdoor power company putting their corporate financial warranty exactly where their high-end engineering is, proving to career cutters that true durability isn't just about using thicker steel, but about actively protecting that steel from destroying itself on the job. Next is the undisputed resale king of the entire category, the Exmark Laser Z X Series. If you walk through any high-end commercial landscaping yard in the country, you will spot more signature red Exmark machines stacked onto flatbed trailers than absolutely anything else in the outdoor power business. On the professional contractor forums, whenever career crews get into heated arguments over elite cut quality, striping presentation, and raw vacuum power, this is the exact name that dominates the conversation. The Premier X Series serves as the absolute peak of that 30-year legacy as the commercial gold standard, and the engineering underneath the hood completely explains why. Up top, Exmark bolts in your choice of pure big block commercial power plants, ranging from the high-capacity Kawasaki FX series to a massive 37 horsepower Vanguard electronic fuel injection engine. This heavy-duty Vanguard setup comes paired with a pristine, proprietary 500-hour oil guard system, which completely cuts down on your routine maintenance intervals and creates massive, quiet time and financial savings across a busy cutting season. Down at the turf level, the heavy-duty UltraCut Series 6 deck is fabricated out of a thick, fully welded 7-gauge steel shell with a reinforced leading edge to absorb heavy impacts without losing its precise alignment. To ensure the spinning blades never create a costly midday breakdown, Exmark completely deleted the old grease points under the deck, opting instead for massive blade spindles that ride on double-row, completely sealed industrial-grade bearings housed inside a 7.75-inch diameter cutter housing. That means fine sand, water, and abrasive dirt can never physically work their way inside to chew up the internal bearings. Even better, instead of running a standard residential-grade integrated transaxle, the X Series utilizes fully separate, high-capacity hydraulic pump and wheel motor drive systems packed with massive cooling fans so the internal fluid never cooks under continuous summer loads. The secondary used market is the only true mechanical judge that cannot be bought or bribed, and it serves as the ultimate durability proof for this machine. The exact mechanics and operators who know best what these look like on the inside after years of extreme torture will still line up down the block to pay serious premium money for a used Laser Z. If a machine with thousands of brutal commercial hours on the clock still commands a premium price tag, that is not a clever ad campaign. That is long-term mechanical reliability with a real price tag attached.
Then you have to look straight at the official recalls on record,
with zero corporate spin attached. In November 2025, the Consumer Product Safety Commission recalled about 650 model year 2025 Spartan SRT-XD and KG-ZXD mowers. A steering amper could be installed incorrectly from the factory, causing the machine to bounce unexpectedly and the operator to lose control. 15 incidents, 1 minor injury. The context the headlines skip. It was voluntary. It tracked a specific assembly batch, not a brand-wide design flaw. And Spartan, now owned by Toro, fixed the affected units free through dealers. Not a reason to write off a good company, just one more data point that in this prosumer tier, the safety net is thinner. Now the opposite end. The popular machines pros respect, but won't put on a paying job. The Toro Time Cutter, John Deere Z300 series, Husqvarna Z254, Cub Cadet Ultima, and Ariens Icon. And I'll be clear, because the comments always misread this. These are good machines. For a homeowner cutting under 2 acres, they're exactly right. The issue isn't quality, it's that they ride on a residential drivetrain, a ZT2800 class transaxle, a lighter engine, a thin stamped deck. The makers know it, which is why nearly all of them bury a commercial use exclusion in the warranty. Toro caps the Time Cutter at 3 years or just 300 hours of commercial use. One owner who hit that mark posted his repair list: replaced engine, snapped throttle cable, broken spindles, failed deck belt, slipping clutch. His own words, a great residential mower, never built for commercial punishment. He wasn't insulting it, he was using a light tool for a heavy job. So which side are you on? It comes down to math. Nobody runs for you. A $4,000 residential mower pushed to a realistic 800 hours costs about $5 an hour. A $14,000 Scag Turf Tiger 2 run to its rated 3,500 hours costs around $4. The commercial beast is actually cheaper per hour, but only if you mow enough to reach those numbers. That's the only rule you need. Under 50 hours a year on under 2 acres, buy residential. You'll never outuse it, and the premium is wasted. Mow more, buy commercial, because over 5 years, the cheap machine costs you more in replacements than the good one costs to own. There's almost no middle ground that makes financial sense. And whatever you choose, make one call first. Find out who services that brand in your zip code. The best mower in the country is a multi-ton paperweight if you can't get parts within driving distance. That call has saved more buyers than any spec sheet ever printed. If this saved you from the wrong machine or talked you out of overpaying, drop a comment with what you run and how many acres you cut. That real-world number helps everyone watching. And subscribe, because that's the job here. Cut through the showroom noise and tell you what the dealer won't. See you at the next breakdown.